What's up, YouTube? This is the first episode of Bodybuilding Business with Justin Harris, Joe Seaman, and John Rivas. What's up, guys? So we got North Americans coming up
What up?
this week. You guys have any thoughts on that? Predictions?
Joe, have you seen any of the guys yet, or no?
I've seen a few guys. Like not as many from. There's one guy from Canada. His name's Brandon Medak. He's going to be doing the heavyweights, and he's a guy that like the past couple years in like the Canadian shows, because like out here it's pretty hard to get a pro card. Like even for myself, like when I won my pro card, I had to win the overall. I didn't like just win my class or anything. So he's one of those guys where it's like he's won his class, been like really close, winning heavyweights and such, but never won the overall. Just because they tend to always pick the super heavyweight in the overall, I find. But yeah, he's a freaky looking guy. He's pretty short too. He's only about five. I'd say
As a
five
heavyweight,
six,
that's pretty big.
and he's heavyweight. So yeah, he's a big dude. Like he's gonna. I think he could do some damage in the North Americans. I think he's the only Canadian I know doing the bodybuilding, and has like a really good chance at
Yeah.
stirring things up. The one guy I know from the States, his name's Cole something. I think he just did
Yeah.
USA's.
Dude,
I think
a lot of
USA's
guys,
not too
a
long
lot of
ago.
guys, they sort of do that. They come from straight from USA's because it's what 4 weeks,
Yeah.
Justin. I think, but the gap between, so they do USA's and they go straight into North Americans.
Yeah, it's really common. And then
Is that
they'll
a
they'll
true
even
thing?
because Masters Nationals. Is that what you got? Because Masters Nationals, you can get if you're over 35, you can get a three pro qualifiers string together, and then there's even the universe in there if you want
Yeah,
to go that route. So that's really kind of a lot of guys do that.
yeah.
Just hit back to back shows. I've got a guy in the heavies, Justin Slates, who
How's he
he's
doing?
like a genetic monster.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, he tore his pec. I think trying to bench 605 or something last year. Uh, yeah,
What?
for,
What? During
no, well, it
prep?
might have been. I don't know. He's a freaky strong dude and does like
Oh
crazy
my
shit like that
god.
all the time. But he's looking really good. He's
Mm.
incredible legs, uh, incredible arms, tiny waist.
Mm-hmm.
He's struggled to get all the way in shape. It looks like he's going to be there this time. I think Bodybuilders Without Borders posted kind of a favorites in the heavies the other day and had him on
Mm-hmm.
there. I can't even remember who the other guys were, but he'll be competitive if he's in shape. He just got posed at the Kalamazoo Classic here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, a couple weeks ago, and looked. The weird thing is some guys, if you ever notice, not every look translates conditioning wise on stage, and it's hard to explain. But some
Yeah.
guys you'll see them in pictures and see them in person, and they look shredded, and they get on stage, and it's like there's not enough depth or separation, and those harsh stage
Yeah.
lights kind of make them like flatten out. Like because in a gym, any definition you can see what the shadows are so sharp on stage.
The
Yeah,
downlighting, the
yeah.
whole
And
nine.
so he's the opposite. He's one of the guys, I could see him on stage there that he almost looked better on stage than he was in his check-in photos. And we didn't do any. He just walked on
Yeah.
stage to guest pose. It's not like we did anything
Yeah.
to his look. So that had me feeling quite a bit better.
Was he going
He'll be
heavy or
heavy.
super?
He's about 220 right now, so he'll be heavy.
That class is stacked. They also have
Yeah,
Dom.
he guest posed too.
Oh my God, Dom's gonna kill me if I say it.
Triv,
Trivline,
Don
Trivline. I'm
Trivellini,
saying
Trivellini, Trive
Trivline.
Line.
Yeah, I think I'm Triveline. I'm sure Tom's gonna be like, he's gonna send us a message afterwards and be like, dude, really? But I know, last year he got second at North
I
Americans.
think
I think this
he
year
got
he's gonna
screwed
be
last
second
year.
too.
They had him front and center,
Yeah,
right in the middle, the entire show, and then he didn't win.
yeah.
He's peeled. He got posed at the Kalamazoo also. He's inside out shredded,
Mm-hmm.
just like last year. He
He looks
looks like he
great.
could potentially
He
be
looks
down
great.
in size a little bit, and I think he's dealing. I don't want to. Yeah, I think he's dealing like a little digestive issue. So, but
Yeah, I know. Well, I know him and Nate are boys, and Nate Mead, and I think Nate has said he had stopped by his house the other day, and he's functioning on like
Yeah.
fears. You know, he could barely keep his eyes open. So I know he's definitely
Oh,
going
he's
for that
shredded.
conditioning
He's in
without
shape.
a
Yeah,
doubt.
he's in shape. Yeah, I think because I worked with him. Well, he won the team nationals as a middleweight, and then uh, we did junior nationals. And he took second the next year as a light heavyweight, and it was because he's young, skin was thick. He's difficult to get in shape. He's one of those guys where you feed him like a pig in the off season, and he stays in pretty good shape. And then to get contest shredded, you just gotta like murder him basically. Like violate the Geneva Convention for torture to. And then, but yeah, he's moved. He's worked with Jansen the last couple of years, and they've got him in shape. And last year, I thought he won for sure. I thought he got robbed. He's very big. I mean, even as a heavy, he looks like a super heavy, and so he's got those big guy issues. Like he's got to control his midsection. He's got to make sure he doesn't look blocky with his posing. Because if he just goes straight up and poses, it'll look thick and blocky. You gotta. But he definitely should be a pro, and he will be eventually.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the heavyweight class is really stacked. I know, you got like Brandon Barrow he's a Virginia guy also.
Another definite future pro.
Brandon. He got second, I think, at USA. So I think he's
he's been top five like eight consecutive pro qualifiers. Poor guy, because he was fourth at like nationals last year, second at one of the 2020 maybe.
He was close to
yeah. He's been top five. Like I mean, it seems like forever. Every show, and he's just knocking on the door. I heard he's coming in trying to like really bring the conditioning. He's like smaller than usual.
I'm sure. I don't know if he's a big guy. Like he's about my height, like 5'10", so 5'10", 5'11". I mean, he's a big guy. I'm sure he's going to try to bring condition. I'm pretty sure like he's been pushing it hard. So after North America, he's probably going to wrap it up.
I heard he was looking. I heard he was looking in shape. I heard he was looking down in size, which people hate to hear, but that almost always means good. That almost always means you're. And that's the hardest thing as a competitor is what wins is when all the guys at the gym who are into bodybuilding but don't really understand bodybuilding tell you look down in size. That means you're shredded.
Look small,
that's
man.
I heard that from someone, and so to me that means okay, he's bringing it. That's something it's kind of interesting. I think in the sport is there's guys who will be better pro bodybuilders than amateur bodybuilders. And what I mean by that is guys that are very, like him, like very large, they get docked more, I feel like, at the national level, at the amateur level for not controlling their midsection than they do on the pro stage. And so you get guys who like kind of struggle to turn pro, and Dom Trivellini is one of them, who I think then when they turn pro, it's what wins pro shows and what's judged at the pro level is kind of doesn't punish that blockiness or midsection quite as much. Yeah, and that's kind of historically been that way too. There's been you can't even remember the names now because like countless times someone wins their pro card and never does anything as a pro. You totally even forget who they are until you look back up online. But that's why they won. They had like a real pretty physique or kind of like, and if that could have, translated and added 20 pounds once they turned pro, that could have potentially been an amazing physique, but it doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
It's there's other divisions, like the women's wellness is almost, it's like almost they have to figure out what they're going to do with it. Because if you go to a state level wellness show, the girls, they look like bikini competitors. Where wellness at like the national level, they're huge, and so it's like, I run into that as a coach a lot, where a girl will want to do wellness, and what will win, like to qualify for a pro qualifier in wellness, is they're just two different looks.
I mean, Justin, have you ran into this? I'm sure Joe, as a coach, also you get clients. It seems as though when wellness first came out, at the amateur level, it was taken as, oh, I have big legs, so I can do it. But all it was extra body fat, and some of the females were holding their body fat in water around their legs and their lower region. So they figured, oh, well, this is a thing for me. And then when they start getting in shape, I would see a lot of girls that would actually drop out of local shows, because when they started losing the body fat, they realized, oh, I don't have big legs. And it's not just, and some of these wellness chicks, they're, doing things performance enhancing wise, just as
Yeah.
much as a bodybuilder.
There's
And, it's like they
there's
don't
a
realize that.
perfect example of that you guys. She's older now. This is you remember like was it geez those magazines was it like FM in the early 2000s they were like they weren't quite Playboy Maxim
Hmm.
magazine.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Vita?
yeah,
Remember
yeah,
Vita Guerrera? Yeah,
yeah.
she did that. She tried to compete in like figure, and then, but yeah,
Oh, I didn't
well,
know that.
it didn't look like her because she lost all that ass. It was, because
Yeah,
yeah,
you
everyone
lose
was
it.
telling her,
Yep.
I'm sure, like because she exercised and she was like famous. She was like before the internet, like around
Yeah,
2000. They had the internet, but you couldn't upload. Everything was
yeah,
so slow. It was you couldn't really. So that was like that was your soft core porn basically. It was like Maxim magazine. You see Vita Guerrero in a
yeah.
thong and some cool sports articles. So everyone knew who she was. But yeah, she competed, and I don't think she even did well at like a state show. She just lost all of that.
No, I didn't even know
Yeah.
she competed. So yeah, it's just. I mean, it seems as though not, you know, saying that it's easy to get a pro card because you still have to win a show, but it just goes to I do like the way Canada does it. It's sort of like the way America, like the United States, used to do it back in the '90s and whatnot. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to grow the sport. It is about money. Obviously, it is about business. So I get it, but it sometimes I know we've talked about, does a pro card even matter anymore? Yes, like obviously it matters. You get one, you can compete as a pro. You can't if you don't have one. But does it mean anything? Does it get you extra money? Does it really put you as a better coach?
Well, you
I don't
have to
know. I mean, I don't know
define
if
like
it's really that
what
important
means
anymore.
what. It's like because you don't like the Olympics are amateur. So you don't like
Yeah,
that's like
yeah,
saying winning an Olympic medal on like the big sports. Obviously, they get endorsements, but it's like saying winning an Olympic gold medal
yeah,
in a lower sport doesn't mean anything. It means it means a ton, and
yeah,
so it's like it's still our
yeah,
only chance to prove your level in the sport we love. It's to prove true like where you stand next to uh, my wife just sent me a hilarious text. There's some bodybuilder. She's at Costco. There's some bodybuilder. She wants to take a picture. She's like they're in string tank tops staring at the chicken. But it's probably my clients, probably Jake Justin. Uh, but where was I going with that? Yeah. So but as far as like where the money is, it's different now because it used to be you turn pro and then we'd assign you to a contract in the magazines. Where now
yeah,
your income isn't really tied as much to that. It's a great bargaining tool, and you're going to get preferential treatment with endorsements and supplement contracts,
yeah,
and it's like it's a great notch on your bedpost as a coach. But as far as
yeah,
financially, it's not as big of a player anymore. But it's still none of us. We all work out for a reason. Those of us that compete, we don't compete because we just wanted to compete. Because competing sucks. We
yeah,
do it because we want to beat other people. We want to be competitive, and there's still turning pro is
yeah,
still kind of the peak of the mountaintop. And I don't see how that ever changes. Because you
yeah,
don't do the sport just for money. If money was your only thing, you'd be doing something else because there's way easier ways to make a living than bodybuilding. So I
yes,
think as far as that, I don't think people are turning pro for the money. It's like the Olympics. You're doing it because it's like a culmination of like a lifetime of work. And I think as far as a lifetime of
yeah.
work, I don't know another sport, maybe gymnastics, but other than that, I don't know another sport that is as much work and is as difficult to reach that pinnacle. I mean, really, that's such a big,
We talked about
yeah.
that
That
before,
see,
Justin.
but you don't really your peak years as a bodybuilder. If you like, are really like 38 to 42. You know, I mean, look at how old was Roden when he won the Olympia.
I think he was
Yeah, Ronnie
44.
didn't win his first
He was
Olympia until he
44.
was 38. I mean,
Yeah,
that's if you look around Dexter, he didn't win his Olympia until he was 40 in that range, 30,
yeah.
38.
I mean, I think gone are the days. Gone are the days of Lee Haney retiring at 32 with 8 Olympias. I think gone are the days of that. I think just the amount of muscle, the amount of that maturity level of the muscle that we want to see on stage now, and the judges want to see on stage now. Just it doesn't happen in those mid late 20s. Like, it takes time, and I think that's what's pushing people to compete later and later.
I think it's kind of a twofold thing too. I think there's like a reason behind it is people talk about the conditioning of the 90s. If you look at pure body fat, guys today are leaner, and because I've been coaching since then, basically since around 2000, and what used to be considered conditioned enough is not anymore. And if you go back and look at guys, like we talk about, like Flex Wheeler, like these amazing body, Chris Cormier, and they didn't went on stage with striated glutes, and you could take second at the Olympia without striated glutes, but what was different was like the GH use was different, and so the guys, their skin wasn't as thick. And so now what you have is to kind of be at the size and do the whole thing that you need to these days. You really need to include GH and over time you're going to get a thicker skin from that. So the only way to really kind of merge the best physique when you have the thicker skin is to you peak is really when your natural skin is thinning as you get older, and those two worlds don't really collide. I don't think until your late 30s, where you get that thin skin as you get older, and it's enough to offset probably the thicker skin from the GH to kind of create that perfect look, and because you can get the thinner skin with being shredded or younger if you don't use the GH, but then you're struggling. Are you carrying enough size on stage? Are you round enough? And so I think that's really the main reason is that you've got two things working, in two directions. You got the GH thickening your skin, which, and then your skin doesn't get that thin enough look until you get older. Going back to the North Americans, something that I think is interesting is, because you used to see it on like American Muscle Magazine and stuff on ESPN back in like the mid 90s. You remember that show? I still got some VHS.
Man,
what's that?
Dude, do you guys ever go back and watch like YouTube clips of like they had like Sean Ray had a show in the morning,
the Flex Magazine workout with Boyer Co.
The Flex Magazine workout. Sean Ray had that.
I used to record that before school.
The one you were talking about, Justin, I believe. They would always have like a local body or like a just turned pro bodybuilder or whatever hosting it for the day, and they would bring in like they do a spotlight on a certain guy, and they would go film him and all that stuff. I remember they did one on like Stan Clay when he was still Muscle Mania doing the natural stuff, and I remember seeing that one and I was like, man, I wanna look like that. Like it was because it sort of brought it to the forefront. I'm sort of upset that. ESPN doesn't cover things like that anymore.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, because that's what hooked me. I still have. I can recite a Lee Priest one, like the whole video word for word. I watched it probably 7,000 times because we didn't have there wasn't YouTube. You had your magazines, which even those were like if you lived in a podunk town were difficult to find. It's not like every supermarket even carried them. And so I had a VHS.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I got one right here. This is from 1994, I believe. I'm going to cover up the name just because I don't want to get but that's actually LeVron, I think, from like 90... Oh, what was this? Look, Cormier, Menser, Titus Control. Yeah, this was Joe Wieters in like 94. And then actually I have this one's
that's a Flex magazine.
I haven't shown anyone this. This is I got this one from a very good friend of mine, Duranda Mason. So I haven't shown anyone. This is an original Muscular Development from August 1967 with Arnold on it. So if you go back and you look in it, they've got a super high protein, cut it out. And yeah, this is the original from 1967. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. But man, sort of gone are the days of the magazines and the
protein powder. Supplements didn't really become a thing until like the mid 90s. I mean, they were always a thing, but there was like, you were allowed to, because it was just Weider pretty much. I mean, you were allowed to produce just like straight, I don't even, worse than dog food. And it was accepted because there was nothing else out there. I remember my very first protein powder. I can't remember. I'm sure it was Weider. I can't remember the name of it, but it was, the instructions were, stir vigorously, and then in all capital letters, drink immediately. And this is what happened. I don't know what this was. It was like, it had to be like gelatin or something. But you stir it, and I had like a little hand blender, and I'm blending the hell out of it. It's all spinning, and then like instantly a chemical transformation happened, and it just turned into this solid goop, like right as I was trying to
Oh,
drink it. It was like drinking like a giant snot, ball, and it was instant. And I mean, and this was when I was like 14, 15, 1994, 93, where
yeah.
I had decided I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I would have drank snot, but I could not get that down. It was, or I remember,
So here's I don't know if that you like here's one weight to
yeah,
year 1850.
the
You
best
know,
was the
like
Russian Bear 5000. It was
dude, I took
Dude,
that.
the
I did
best was
that.
because it was only like 300 calories, but it was the 5,000 calories
Hmm.
was if you mixed it with a gallon of whole milk.
With a gallon
Yeah,
of whole
with
milk.
the whole milk
Yep.
was 4,000 calories.
Yep.
Yeah, just brilliant marketing. I
Yeah,
bought that
dude, it
too.
was so I was a freshman at
Oh yeah,
hmm so thick
it's like
too.
yeah,
It
it
was
was just
filling.
chalk and sugar packets with milk.
We had I went to Virginia Military Institute and we had a D1 football team and I was roommates with one of the linebackers and they would come in and they would see like the Russian bear and word got around on the stoop that's like, yo, Revis got this Russian bear, man, 5,000. Yo, man, he's taking these just steroids, all that stuff. It's hilarious.
There was a period of time where you pretty much could take steroids. Remember that like the pro hormone surge was that like the early 2000s when there was like
It wasn't an orange one, wasn't there like an
oh
orange? I can't remember that name.
yeah oh geez yeah
You know what I'm talking about.
Ultimate Orange. It had
Ultimate Orange.
ephedrine in it,
Yep, that
and
had some stuff
it
in
was
it.
rumored to have D-ball
Yep.
in it. Well, I had
Yeah, that's what I heard.
hot stuff was
Yeah.
supposed to have D-ball in it too. Hot stuff was terrible. That tasted like old man black licorice, and it's terrible.
Oh.
But anyway, I got an Ultimate Orange story. So I was senior in high school. Very first football game. I was captain, like first time being a captain of any team. I was, so pumped, and I got this Ultimate Orange, and I had never even had coffee at this point. I don't know when outside of a
Hmm.
Mountain Dew, never had caffeine. That stuff had like 50 milligrams of ephedrine with caffeine, with everything that's no longer
God.
legal. And so we were on the bus mixing it up, and like you're an idiot, so like I didn't know how much you're supposed to, and I wanted to make sure it really worked, so I probably took like a double or triple scoop. Oh my, that
Jesus.
was like getting shot out of a rocket ship. I've never done meth, but I can't imagine that first hit of meth being any stronger than this because I don't even.
Resting
Oh,
heart rate.
geez.
What do you
Oh,
think?
160. I don't even have to. I don't have to run. I just
Don't.
floated wherever I went. I was like a hummingbird. I just floating. And,
Oh,
oh
dude.
man, because I'm a quiet guy. I'm not like get all fired up. And
Yeah.
we're doing
Yeah.
stretches. And like so there's like me and the other captain. Like we're in the front, and he was kind of quiet too, but I was real quiet, like even like shy, and I was like just like
Yeah.
snorting and fussing and screaming, and he's like, dude, what the fuck happened to you?
What is going on? You were like, what's his face from?
Latimer?
Oh, oh God, this is terrible. My mind's blanking, of course, on a Sunday. But
Yeah,
was it the
Latimer.
program where he's
Place
like,
of the table,
yeah,
start a
yeah, man.
defense.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
you, dude.
Lots of guys gain 30 pounds in the summer. If you hit the gym real hard.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Dude. I remember seeing that, and he had like the needle and stuff, and he was like in his room, and it was like, oh
Yeah.
my
He
gosh,
takes the shot and then starts doing
what's going on
curls. No
here?
problem.
Yeah, it was so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a good movie. That's a good movie. I wanted to ask you, Joe, really quick. Now that being fully transparent, you're an open guy. You don't hide anything.
He's not ready to come
You're
out.
not trying to send a
We
message.
talked before.
Yeah, well, that was different. But I wanted to ask you though, what's your since the show you competed at Vancouver, right? This year you did Vancouver, Toronto. I'm sorry, Toronto. In what was it, July? Beginning of June. What have you done since then? Like, how have you handled that? just supplement wise, food wise? What's been going on?
You said 7 months in 2021 you prepped with all the shows. I don't think people realize how hard that is. I remember David Dirth, a pro bodybuilder, like 80s and mid 90s, I think around 94 or something. He did maybe every show on the pro circuit that year. And I don't think he ever competed again after that. And there was or he might have tried to.
He
Yeah.
fell off, like he
Well, he did an
disappeared.
article and he explained why. He said he basically prepped for 12 months, and he said it was just
Mm.
it was just too much. His body just never came back. It just didn't work after that. Like when he would try to prep, the next year, just nothing worked. He said it was just too much for the body. And I mean, anyone who's competed knows how hard one show is. I mean, just a contest prep is,
Yeah.
there's nothing harder. So to do, to string out multiple shows and then to string them out over a period of months it's hard. And Joe's probably the calmest prepper I've ever met in my life. Like when we went to Coops and you were in prep and we went like that because I'm like 17 years off season, so I can go like all day without eating. It barely affects me. And even I was getting hangry on that limo drive to the restaurant.
That was rough. That was rough, man. We didn't eat for hours, dude.
I just kept like I
Yeah.
was waiting for you to just talk out, just to start eating a cushion or something. But I've never seen any. It might have been because it was our first team gathering, but I've never seen someone that calm
Right.
and prep. I was pretty impressed. Yeah, before you even reach your prime age. I mean, you'll be that happens. So many guys do that. The guys do that with blasting cycles, never taking breaks, blasting GH, doing things that are hard on the body, which you can do for a period of time, but you can't do for 30 years. It's you got guys doing it when they're
Yeah.
20, and by the time they're 30,
Yeah.
nothing's responding anymore, and they're still 5 6 years from their
Yeah.
peak. So they miss their whole career, their prime earning years, their prime competitive years. They lose it all just by not being able to be smart and think about the bigger picture.
And that's how too. And Joe, I think you and I had talked about this before, and I know Justin and I had at one point. But when you're lean and you're almost there, like you're sort of knocking on the door a little bit, but you're like, all right, glutes need to come in a little more, what have you, and nothing you do makes any progress. No amount of fat burners, no amount of cutting food. You're on like 0 grams of fat. Carbs are low. You're up in it's just nothing is responding, and you're like, oh shit, I got 2 weeks left. Well, what do I do? And most of the time, you just have to go through with it because you've invested so much money and time, and your family wants to support you or your significant other, but yeah, that's how like when it's like nothing you do is changing.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
in prep, it's tough to decide anything. Your brain's mush. I mean, and that's what you just said is you don't become a pro bodybuilder without being tough and stubborn, and it's almost sometimes to the detriment, because it's like I never pull out of a prep, and it's like, well, is there a time when you should, because that people keep that as a badge of honor, having never pulled out of a prep, but it's and everyone
yeah,
considers that like the right thing to do, and everyone says it like a badge of honor, and it kind of you want to get where you are in the sport without that mentality, but is there a time when you should, and I'm sure there is, but who knows when it is, and you're not going to be able to make that decision properly when you're in prep because your brain's mush. Yeah, that's the thing with like.
so hold on, we hear it here first. Hold on, we hear it here first. So you were prepping yourself the last few shows, so you are saying right now you are working with Troponin. Is that what we're saying? Then we're going.
Yeah, I don't.
That's
It
good.
sounds like it's like a admit defeat thing or something. Joe's. It's not like that. Joe can prep himself, and it's not like It'll be. I'd love to help with the second set of eyes. And I think it's because it's just like when
That's awesome,
when I
man.
prepped, I would bounce ideas off Nate Wolf, a guy, his wife Natalie Wolf's
Hmm.
physique pro, very good physique pro. It's having another set of eyes is I don't know how guys don't do it without doing that. I don't think guys really do. I think the only one who really did it was Dorian. And it's hard to say like how much because he had Leroy Davis. Was he bouncing ideas off him?
Yeah.
It's I don't think. doing it 100% in isolation, I think is really nearly impossible. I know guys do it, and guys talk about like in the '90s, I guess Sean Ray said he would do it, but he had John Brown,
Sean
you
Ray.
know,
But he had John Brown coaching him and posing, and who
yeah.
knows
I
if he
mean,
gave
to
him any
do it
advice on that.
completely, like completely isolated, like Rocky and Rocky Four out in the mountains. Even then, he had a team, but
Yeah.
you just can't do it. It's never a knowledge thing. It never is, and it's well. And here's a perfect example. Everyone in prep doesn't want to take photos of themselves because they hate the way they look, right? And then when
Yeah.
you look back at photos of yourself in prep when you're not in prep, and you see them with a clear eye, you're seeing two different photos. What you see of yourself when you take a photo when
Yes.
you're in prep versus what you see of your prep self when you're not in prep, they're two different photos in your mind. And so that tells you right there that you can't trust that prep mind 100% because it's clearly not seeing things correctly because you know what you're seeing when you're not in prep versus what go back and look at any of your old conscious photos,
Yep.
and you can see when you're not in prep, you can see crystal clear what you should have done differently, what was good, what was bad. When you're in prep looking at those photos, you just hate everything. It's usually the opposite. It's usually no, you don't. That's too crazy. With top guys, that's usually what it is. It's like they're like, so I was going to do 4 hours of cardio and not eat this week. It's like no, 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 no. Let's get this. But it's usually they just want to do too much. But that's the worst feeling though when you're a couple weeks out and you're not where you want to be because that never leads to the right decisions because everyone knows because what's the worst look imaginable is take an off-season bodybuilder and throw diuretics at him and try to dry him out because then he just looks like a skinny fat bodybuilder. And that's what happens when you're not
Yeah.
when you're not in shape. Trying to fix it by drying out harder makes it even worse, and that's your only that's like your only recourse. That's your only option, and so that's why I always say that like when I said with Brandon, when like I heard he was looking like downsized, that's the hardest thing to understand
Yep.
in bodybuilding is that to look big on stage, you need to be flat in prep. You need to look small and flat because then when
Yeah.
you go past
Yeah.
when you go
Exactly.
past everything, then you go into when you're peaking, then you're not worried about trying to like dry out or finish things off. You're like, okay, we got room to fill out. I don't have to push the diuretics. I don't have to, and that's it's like
Mm-hmm.
so you can be if you want to be big on stage, you kind of got to be small in prep. If you want to look big in prep, you're going to look small on stage. It's like great, yeah, you weighed 10 pounds more all prep than you did last prep, but now you're 5 pounds too fat. So what are you going to do on stage? You're going to be 10 pounds smaller because you have to pull too much water. You end up on stage the same weight, only it's
Yeah.
a worse look, and that's the hardest thing. Is I always say, like the stages of prep when you know you're in shape. It's like when you look ripped at the beach, that's like starting prep basically. When guys at the gym are telling you you're ripped, or when your mom tells you you're ripped, you're like 10 weeks out. When guys at the gym are telling you you're shredded, you're
Yeah.
like 6 or 8 weeks out. When guys at the gym are
Yeah.
like asking you if you're okay or telling you like you need to pull out, you look sick, you look like you're losing size, you're getting close. When your mom like holds an intervention and she thinks you're killing yourself, that's when you know you're ready.
Yep.
Like is a mystery to me because he looks unbelievable when he's training and even his photos he posts in prep. And then it's like it seems like like something gets lost. I mean I think it is a peaking thing because what was the one show where he came back at finals looking like a totally different bodybuilder? But I think
He only did one this year, but I
it
think
was
he did
last
two
year,
last
but
year.
at least last year. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like he's the kind of that guy who might need to do something like that regularly. Yeah, because he's like such a monster all through prep, and then it's like when he peaks, it's just kind of deflates a little bit. I mean, some of that you can't help, and sometimes there are some people that just, and I don't want to say this about him because I don't think this is true. He is a great stage bodybuilder, but there are some guys who they just to get dry, they lose their pop, and it sucks if you're one of those guys because there's not much you can do about it. But I think Derek Lunsford has a shot. I think he has a legit shot if he goes open.
Is he going?
I
Did he
don't know
say he's
how
going
that
open, or
dude
is he
makes
still
212. I
212?
mean, he has to lose 30 pounds of muscle at this point. The dude's going to be he'd be two.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was he?
He's
He was
huge.
260 or something at that guest posing, and he was in shape.
No way he's making two. If he makes 212, he's gonna look
It'll be
very
the same thing.
straight,
His
really
legs,
strong.
he'll lose all his sweep, like he does when he makes 212, and he probably win 212. So maybe who's to say what's the right move? But wait, not joining 2010, 2004. Sorry, whatever because he did that thing where there's that picture of him at O2 Gym when he's like 220 pounds, and then 3 years later he was Rami.
Yeah.
Whatever that picture, he
Yeah.
was like 24 or something.
Ah, okay. So he's getting up there.
Yeah, but I'll give you some with Lunsford. That guest posing, Nick Walker was on stage with them, and I don't think Nick was as lean.
Yeah.
And I think Derek was in better shape, and I think Derek compared size wise to Nick Walker very well. And so,
That was weird.
and no one's gonna argue that Nick Walker's not big enough for open. They consider him a monster, right? So if this guy is roughly the same height, compared very well size wise, even while being leaner, how is he not an open guy? How is he going to be undersized as an open? I just don't see it, And I thought he looked better than Nick on stage there. Now again, he was in better shape, like body fat wise, so he was going to look better. But I thought he looked better than Nick, and I don't think anyone would think it was a bold, like an outrageous prediction to say Nick can be in the top 5. Yeah, I just disagree with that not this year because I looked at those two photos and they look very comparative size-wise. Nick's a little bigger, but it's not like you got a light heavy against a super heavy. It's like you got two guys in the same weight class. And not only is Nick not a 212 guy, but he's known as a mass guy. And so you can't say these guys are very close in size, but this guy is too small to do the open when this guy's one of the mass monsters in the open.
Yeah.
So I want Derek I just really want him to do the open to see.
Top 5? You
I
say
can
top
see
5?
if he's not penalized. If it's not, you got to earn your stripes. I think he's my dark horse for top 5. I'd have him over Hunter, and I love Hunter's physique. Yeah, man, this could be a good Olympia. Now that we're talking about it, I'm kind of more excited for this Olympia than I've been in a while. So I think hot.
Now what? Well, what about Andrew Jack?
I'm not seeing it yet. I don't want to say it because I don't want to be the guy that has to eat crow, and make. Yeah.
You're a hater. Dude, you just jealous. See,
and I don't want to say it. I feel like I am the one missing something because people don't usually talk about everyone for no reason. Everyone doesn't usually talk about one person for no reason. I think there's something about the shape of his quads that will probably improve as he adds size. But so I just think it's very close, but I'm not 100% sold on it yet. I think the potential's there, but I'm not. And I feel like if we do this podcast in a year, you guys, I'm going to have to go on and apologize for our new Mr. Olympia, Andrew Jack. But I'm just not quite seeing it yet. I don't have him in the top 5. I'll say the important thing to remember too is the judging, because in the amateur level, the judging is different. They're not judging by posing; they're judging an overall physique. The official rules, and this is always the argument for why Dorian won. The official judging criteria in the pros is each pose is judged, and you are judging placing by the poses. And so you've got rear by, rear lat. And so there's that was always the argument was with Dorian was that his side try
if he has a certain
his side try, side chest, rear lat, and rear by, that's 4 of the 7 poses. And so it didn't matter if he didn't win, it looked like shit in the front double by. That was always the argument. That's the way the pros are supposed to be judged. I don't believe they're judged that way because the scorecards alone make it difficult. You're given a number. It's not like you're given a number for each pose, but that is the official rules. And so that's why back is so important in bodybuilding, because you have a poor back, you are automatically, what's 2 out of 7? What's 2 sevenths? That's 30%. You're automatically down by 30. You're down by 30%.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So y'all, so in consensus, do you guys think Rami takes it again if he shows up?
Yeah, if he's in shape. I just think it's. Who do you think, Hadi? Hadi beats him? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Brandon would have to. if Brandon's on point. Yeah, when he
Yeah.
turned pro, like '09, '08.
08,
Yeah,
08, I think. '08 USA's.
yeah,
Yeah, he beat Curtis Bryant for the
yeah,
overall at
yeah,
'08 USA's.
yeah. He's been around. Yeah. So I think he got. So we got Rami, Hattie, Curry. We kind of consensus top three.
Walker. Yeah. Yeah.
Not top three. Kind of
Here's the
consensus
thing.
going to be in the top five. I'm sorry, because we said we're picking our top five.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Bonak looks good, dude. And he got the surgery, and Rolly's training him now.
Have you seen him? Because every
Yeah, he posted he
I
posted some
haven't seen. I
photos.
just know the got the surgery has never worked when
Hmm.
everyone else has got the surgery.
He got the surgery. He posted some photos, and you can't even tell. And it's like, um, he's working with Chad, and he looks big. Like I think someone, if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but I think he was like in the 60s,
Wow,
something like that. Yeah, he's like absolutely massive right
that
now.
would be impressive. What is that going to with his short torso though? Is that a better going to be a better look?
Yeah, who knows? It's just how I guess how he shows up that day. I mean, he could be all the way up to second. He's taking second
Yeah,
before
yeah.
Olympia, right? Second, third, yeah. Yeah. So I mean, who knows?
Okay, I'll give you.
I don't know if I see any like craziness
I'll see.
happening.
I got Okay, Bonex. That's four. Who's our fifth in the top five? We got Nick. You think
Walker.
Walker? I think Lunsford. I think Lunsford can beat Walker. I don't think he will, but I
If he does it, we're going off who's in it right now.
I just don't. How does that fucker make 212? He's got to lose 50 pounds from already being in pretty good shape. I mean, I know he's got to lose muscle to make it, but he might have to lose.
Now we're talking
Yeah.
wrestling cuts now. You know, UFC just starve yourself and yeah.
Who else? Ian. I don't see Ian top five. Kuklo. I don't see him top five.
Mm, uh-uh. Akeem, you
No.
know, he
He
depends on how
his
he
skin's
looks,
too
but
thick. Because what was the other show? Like he was just shredded. He did well. God, I'm so bad at remembering shows now.
I think it was
And
yeah. We're all getting old.
it was last year, I think. Was it?
He did was it Puerto Rico last year?
Maybe
Or was
it
it
was a
this year?
smaller show.
I
Yeah.
think.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. But he just like even when he's inside out shredded, there's something about his skin
Hmm.
and his complexion.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he does it. So I don't. I think he just can't overcome that. Not at the Olympia. I mean, the Olympia, you can't have. It's got
Yeah.
to be. It's the genetic gifts. You got to be. You got to be in shape, on point. You got to be full. You got to be dry, and you can't have any issues. Because look, even Ruli. Ruli was an absolute
Hmm.
balloon everywhere except quad sweep. And he just didn't have
Yeah.
genetically beautiful quads, and that was his limit. I mean, it's the best of the best.
Guys, don't forget we have Hassan Mustafa, who looked really good this
Yeah,
year, and he's working with uh, Cement Factory. I think
AJ.
wasn't it or no?
I like
I
AJ.
think it was. I think
He used to work. He
yeah. So
worked with
he's
us with Nate Wolf with Troponin Nutrition as a teenager. AJ, just like a hard ass working kid. Really, I love to see. I mean, I'm supposed to hate other coaches. I guess I think that's what you're supposed to do. But
no, yeah, dude. But
I
keep it
really
real. You know, good
I
people are
really
good people. That's
respect
it.
his
Is what it
work,
is.
especially his peaking. I think I think he does good work. What's the official roster? Do you have the
Yeah, he
roster
had.
up? Yeah, it's got to be on one of those like Sulios have it or Bodybuilders Not Borders. Daniel, Louis Marco.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to post as it gets closer because like Hollingshead is competing this weekend, right? This weekend, next
I
weekend,
like
one of them.
James.
Um,
James seems like a guy
yeah,
I'd
and
be fun to hang out with.
he might actually he might do some damage because he looks crazy, man. He looks crazy in some of his
Yeah, I
wrestling
like his
stuff.
look because it looks like he worked for it. He looks like a
Yeah,
dude you don't
looks like
want
a
to train
brilliant.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He looks massive, but I mean that's pretty much most of the guys. I think it's going to be pretty close to what it was last year. Might be some some people switching spots and stuff, like going back and forth. But I don't think it's going to be any. It's going to be fun to watch, but it's not going to be like, you know, a Ronnie coming out of ninth place.
Is
Like we said, hey, what if Andrew Jack comes in and wins it all? Then
yeah, you know, and
so.
he looks like he's got the genetics because you know no one saw Ronnie coming, and you know there was. I remember not quite not hype around Ronnie, but it's not like when you talk about it now, like oh nobody even knew who he was. You know, I remember everyone talking about Ronnie because his arms were crazy, and it was more of a when this guy puts it together kind of thing, if I remember correctly from Ronnie, than it was because I remember like when he won the New York Pro, everyone was like, Ronnie finally put it together. It wasn't like
and he won some European ones, didn't he? He won one or 2 years. Like
yeah.
He beat Kevin
So he was
and
he was sixth the year before he was ninth. He was sixth in '97. So he was like not he was like beating Lee Priest, and I think like Cormier was kind of in that 4, 5, 6 range around that time.
Yeah, Chris looked
amazing too. Yeah, God, that was like that whole group from like 92 to 2002 were just studs. Like Jay, go look at Jay Cutler in '99 Olympia. Dude was like 15th. Or look at his battle for the Olympia.
Yeah. He was like 20. He was what, like 27?
Well, it doesn't get talked about enough. That was the biggest robbery in the history of the sport, in my opinion. Ask Jay about it. I guarantee he agrees. He looked like 2001. He just no one else saw it. He was a little flat. But if you look at that, his 1999 Battle for the Olympia video with Mitsuru Okami, he's got like that headband, like a ripped. Oh man, that is probably the freakiest gym look I've ever. One of the freakier gym looks ever. That looked like Ronnie in The Unbelievable, and he was shredded.
I was talking to Jay. I told him. I said. So he released his own shoe. With Atomics, and then I bother him all the time about this. I'm like, Jay, you got to bring back the old school high top from the '99 video when you're wearing the headband and stuff. Like, dude, those shoes were those sort of boot looking shoes, like those like boxing shoes. I'm like, you got to bring them back. Well, yeah, word on the street, they should be coming back sometime fairly soon. So I'll grab
a pair just to
have. Yeah. Just old school.
That's good. Yeah, I love like our bodybuilding business is the name of the podcast here. Jay, I think if anyone has an idol as far as the business of bodybuilding, it should be Jay Cutler. That dude's been killing it for 25 years. It's just like the brilliant business mind and works. I think dude's still at every show. Like he's just and he's and he's there talking to everyone. Nice, remembers you. I mean, like he was at a show in Michigan a couple of years ago, and I don't even know if I'd ever talked to him. I don't think I really, and I kind of like walked over to him, and he knew my, hey Justin, how you doing? It's like the dude just knows everyone, remembers everyone, is nice. I mean, and that work ethic, because so many bodybuilders get a reputation for being lazy, where that dude, he's a multimillionaire. He doesn't need to work at all anymore. I mean, the only reason would be to kind of support an even more lavish lifestyle, but you don't need to work. I guarantee he's pulling $50K a week and has been for years. And he's still at every show, still hustling, still working. I respect the hell out of that.
Jay's mindset, having known him for a little bit, and being pretty decent friends with him, it's one of those things where it just doesn't stop, right? So as soon as he gets something rolling, like the ball rolling with an investment or business, or clothing, like he's launching his own clothing now. As soon as he starts that and he gets rolling, he's automatically thinking about what's next. Like what's next, and that's just how he's done it. I don't think he's ever going to stop. Yeah,
I mean it's like transition out of bodybuilding. Where there you go. That's the only other thing that requires that same 24 hours a day effort.
Yeah,
I can see that.
But Jay's been retired for what 10 years now, a decade, and more people show up to talk to Jay than guys who are competing now. So obviously, he was Mr. Olympia 4 times. That's, one of the best of all time. But I think it's more the fact that Jay is actually a good person. People see that. He actually cares, and he's always working, and people relate to that. Not everyone's a millionaire. And so it's hard to relate to some of these guys on YouTube that are like, I'm driving a Ferrari, and if you sell your firstborn kid and do drop shipping, you're going to be a millionaire too. Like,
Is that
you
like
can't relate to that. So I think that's where
entrepreneur?
Jay,
Uh, Instagram.
yeah, the Instagram
We had
pages, yeah,
my wife's family had some group chat, and it was they did something like post your win the day picture or something, and I did something with like I don't
hmm
remember like a couple dollar bills or something, and I did one of the quotes from that thing, and no one laughed.
yeah.
It was like win the day by betting on
Well,
the 1996 Chicago Bulls. Shit your pants.
the Chicago Bulls always a win, but that's one of those things that going along with the business side of things, you know, the motivation stuff is worn out. We get it, man. It's everyone's done it, and it's to the point that it's like, all right, well, what is enough of this, like, keep grinding and sacrifice, and people will hate you. Like, okay, but how do we actually progress, and how do we actually build a business? What's an EIN? How do we go along and get insurance for a business? How do you do your taxes? There's a lot of things now that I think that if people focused on that stuff, they could have a bigger impact than just
Anyway, you have to if you want to,
motivational thing.
because there used to be a path in bodybuilding was you suffer, you grind, you live in your girlfriend's basement, and then it pays off. You turn well, serious, but it was different because you turn
Yeah,
pro. Weeder recognizes you. Boom, you're set. You make yep,
six-figure
and all you do
contract.
is bodybuilding. And you're set. You got the next, and he would keep guys on the payroll after they retired. And everyone used to dog Weeder because the bodybuilders weren't getting paid more, but people didn't realize what they had. And so there was that track where you could just grind, put your head down, and you struggled, and then boop, that's not there anymore. The same thing happens. You grind, you
Yeah,
turn pro, but the money's not there. It's there. It's there more than it ever has been. There's more money in the industry than ever. Fitness is huge. 20 years ago, everyone knows who like C-Bum is now. Everyone knows who Liver King is. Everyone
yeah,
knows who, it's everyone knows Ronnie, Ronnie Coleman. Hey, yeah, buddy, lightweight. But it's not. It doesn't get given to you anymore. You got to do the work, and you got to do the work in business, and it's a different world. But it's there, but
yeah.
it's yeah, you got to put the effort into it.
It makes it fun. It makes it's one of those things where we've talked about this before. You give up a 9 to 5 to work. What
Yeah,
is the saying,
yeah. Owning a
Justin?
business when you quit working 40 hours a week so you can work 100 hours a week. You don't want to work 40
Exactly.
hours a week jobs.
So
Yeah, I mean that's what it is because
yeah.
it's like
So
well if you coach, and if you want to get your coaches, if you want to get your clients, if you see an email pop up and someone's inquiring about coaching and it's 11:30 at night, you're not the only one they asked, you're not. And so if you're in bed and you see that thing pop up on your phone, and if you're smart, you have an auto response kind of that you can copy and paste. Yeah, you can see coaching plans at this blah blah blah. Here's how it works. You have that, and as soon as you see ding ding boom send, that's that's what you got to do. And I mean, you don't have to do that, but if you want to be the maximal success you can with your business, that's all there is. It's 24 hours a day, and you got to treat everything, like that. It's like guys bitch about doing videos in the gym and stuff. It's like, yeah, no one likes that. No one wants to film their sessions, and everyone thinks it's it's weak and gay. And it's like I'm here to train. Yeah, you're here to train, but if you want to be able to continue training and not have to, work a full time job, if you want this to be your job, then that's what you have to do. You got to be in there filming, and it's not. No one enjoys it.
yeah,
You don't enjoy filming yourself any more than the other guys, enjoy watching your film. Everyone hates it, but that's how you make your business. That's how you make your money. You got to be out there, and even more
yeah,
so, like we said, like the Canadian bodybuilders, like we mentioned at the very beginning, having clout at the North Americans. Years ago, the North Americans used to have a lot of Mexican competitors too, and every once in a while, there would be like a guy from Mexico who would win and turn pro there. You don't see that anymore. And I think the clout thing is a
no,
big part of it. And no one likes to do it. No one likes to be on, I mean, some people like to be on social media, but if you're not naturally that person, no one likes
yeah,
to. But it's part of the sport now. The sport is lifting weights. It's like you get into the sport because you love training. Well, then the next thing is you got to eat like a bodybuilder. No one really loves that out of the gate, but you got to do it because it's part of the sport. Then you got to learn how to pose. No one likes posing. I mean, maybe if you were like a dancer, or you want to be a ballerina when you're younger. You love posing, but most of us, it's not natural. We weren't clamoring to get on stage in fourth grade and have everyone look at us while we moved our bodies fluently. But you got to learn to pose if you want. Well, like the social media stuff is an aspect of that because the magazines aren't there anymore. And so it's up to you to get your exposure now, and exposure matters because Nick Walker is Nick Walker, but would Nick Walker be Nick Walker if he wasn't Nick Walker on Instagram? I mean, yeah, I mean, or what's the guy? I never remember his name, and this is a perfect example because I can never remember his name. He turned pro as a super heavies, looked like Ronnie Coleman in like 2018 at Nationals. His name was a weird name like Okavi or something. Literally looked like Ronnie Coleman. No one knows his name anymore. Yeah. If you see it, yeah, I mean, everyone was like, who the fuck is this guy? Because he was clearly the winner, and it was like, okay, what pro show is he going to win? Yeah. He's not out there, He could have been, Nick Walker and Ronnie Coleman combined. It sucks, but it's a part of the sport now. You're not bench pressing the most weight, or you're not being shooting an arrow at the best part of the target, or you're not hitting a pool ball into a pool hole. Other people are judging you. And they're human with a brain, and you need to be in their mind outside of the stage, and it's just as much a part of bodybuilding as lifting, eating, and posing.
I agree. I think that a lot of us come from a background, when we're lifting weights and training, we do it for ourselves, and whether we're trying to escape from something or whether we're trying to better ourselves or build confidence, whatever it is, or get better for a sport, or even recover from injury. Guys get hooked on it, lifting. But I think that it's hard for us to step outside our shell and be like, hey, because at the end of the day, everyone has the ability to perceive what people think about us, so to say. So we don't want to be seen as this like annoying person at the gym, and because we all know those guys at the gym and gals and stuff that are just like, we're like, why are you even here? So I think it's a fine line of being able to step outside of our boxes and do it for our business, as opposed to us thinking that we're going to become this nuisance and stuff. And I think there is a proper way to do it without becoming sort of a nuisance at the gym. But yeah, I think that's probably the toughest part. That's probably harder than benching 500 for a lot of these guys.
Well, most guys don't bench 500. So John just bring it out weights. Yeah, it's like a 900-pound squat. It's like you do it when you're bored, but it's not the most fun.
Yeah. But it is an interesting aspect what the business has sort of changed, but you have to adjust. Life changes, and you have to adjust.
The sports, it's
otherwise you get left behind.
And the sport has changed more in the last 20 years than it did probably the 80 years before that. Yeah. I mean, from the 1950 to 2012, probably it was men's bodybuilding in magazines. Now there's
now. Justin, I do have to ask you this, and I think Joe and I had talked about this before. This is a hot take. If you were competing nowadays with your physique, not a lot of people have seen your photos. They come up sometimes, but not a lot of people have seen your photos. Was it USA's or Nationals you were competing at the end? USA's. If you had brought that physique nowadays, do you think you would turn pro?
No, I don't want to. I think I could have turned.
No, it's okay. Keep it real.
Here's what I think. I think I could have turned pro then, and I could have turned pro now if I put everything together, and I didn't put everything together. But one of my biggest pet peeves, though, is when people go back, because I could go back to that 2007 USA's, and every single person that placed ahead of me turned pro eventually, every single one of them. But it was also 15 years ago. So all those guys competed. But that's my biggest pet peeve when guys say, back when I competed, all those 6 of the top 10 turned pro eventually. It's like, yeah, well, 6 of today's top 10 will turn pro eventually too if you go 15 years in the future. Yeah. And that's what I hate about the misleading thing.
Yeah.
I don't think the competition is weaker right now. I don't. I think the top guys are still the top guys. I think you have guys sneaking through with kind of like, I don't want to say weaker pro cards, but you have guys sneaking through that turn pro that wouldn't have turned pro before, but they're still not the ones going on pro stages. You know, the guy that turned
And they catch like a
yeah,
good
the
show or
guys turning
something.
pro and like a weird like you know like they got second and at nationals and like you know whatever like it's some weird like that wouldn't have happened
Yeah,
before that they wouldn't have turned pro before. But the only difference is
yeah,
that means that class isn't quite as stacked. The winner, the top guys are
yeah,
still the top guys. It's not like the quality has
yeah,
stepped off. It's that it's like that you know
yeah.
that it's just there's fewer chances to turn pro, but it's the guys that are winning, like winning the overall. You know, like Chris Cook won. He took 3 tries to turn pro. He won the USA's 3 years in a row supers, and then finally, because back then only the top two won, and they didn't give him top two. You know, and so that's a guy who was like a big height. I don't he would it would have been the exact same. I don't think he probably wouldn't even have won supers at the USA's the last few years. You know, I think it gets misleading that you had like a Goldilocks period with Ronnie and Jay and Sean Ray and Chris Cormier and you know but that was
Because I wonder, they never show. You know, yeah, there were some years where it was absolutely insane. Was it 91 or 92 where it was like Lavrone, DeMeo, Flex
that
Wheeler,
yeah
Chris, and Ronnie, like all in like
yeah
the top 5. Like
yeah
that's unbelievable. Like
that
that
was
never
there was a
happens.
couple
But
years at the Nationals, but and even that wasn't true. That was because there was no super heavyweight class. So you had so you do the same
oh,
thing right
okay.
now. If you go to North Americans, you know, this week, and you force all the supers to be on
Hmm.
stage with the heavies, suddenly you have a
Yeah.
stacked heavyweight class. You know, so of course
Oh
back then
yeah.
the heavies were stacked because there was no supers. You know, and even it was
There was no
probably
supers. That
probably
makes
even better
sense.
because being the supers didn't help the sport really at all because what you had was guys. They're like the only real supers are the guys that are 260. The guys that are 235,
Yeah.
you know, it's like what ends up happening is you just get a lot of guys who should have been heavies and weren't in shape. You know, so if you remove that and
Yeah.
you're heavy, if you're over 225, then uh, or if you're under, I mean, if you're over 198, then it'll be. I think it would be just like it was back then. Just if you had all the supers and heavy, you would have a fucking stacked heavyweight class.
That's a good point.
But that one, yeah,
That's
the
a good
like
point.
91 when it was because was it Lebroni won juniors, DeMeo took
Lavrone.
second at juniors, and then they went to USA's and did 1-2 in reverse order. But
Yeah, I think DeMeo won, and then they went, and then
yeah, it
Lavrone
was yeah.
won and won his
Yeah, they
pro card
reversed.
that year.
But yeah, it's not. I don't think the sport has dropped off. I mean, I think there's issues. I think honestly, I think the biggest issue is the GH. I think it hasn't been good for the sport. I think it's needed because like Dorian was, you know, the mass monster to end all mass monsters. I mean, I think Nasser was bigger. Nasser, I think, is like a Ronnie level mass monster, but he kind of got screwed in that whole topic. But anyways,
Yeah.
Dorian was like the freak, the guy to bring in mass monsters. You know, like in '93 when he was like 256 or something.
Yeah.
256 at 5'11. That's every super heavy now at the national level. That's not, you know, that's no
Yeah.
longer a mass monster. You know, now you got Steve Kukla.
Yeah, because I mean, Joe's what 275,
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that, 280
yeah.
almost on
Steve
stage.
Kukla is
So
considered almost like an aesthetic guy a little bit, and he's like 5'11", 285. You know, 6 foot 285.
that's
But so that's
crazy.
the difference. Is you can't get these guys are 300 pounds on stage now. You don't get that without the GH. But the problem is with the GH, you get that thicker skin, which forces guys to get even leaner, and it
We
doesn't.
talked about.
You know, like if you're just looking at a glance, like everyone's best shot, and also the other thing, if you look at those old magazine shots, they got the structure and the clarity cranked up. You know, so guys look crisper because that looked good in the magazines. The lighting was better, and they're not showing Flex Wheeler's rear lat. Go put Flex Wheeler's rear lat up
Mm-mm.
and tell me the '90s were better bodybuilders. You know, so yeah,
Yeah.
so
Ooh, that's a hot take.
and I
Ooh.
say this is like Flex Wheeler's 19. Well, here's another Flex Wheeler 1993 Arnold. You know, one of the best physiques ever to be on stage. He was like 5'10". He was supposedly like 218 at that show. You know, as he
Yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
Derek Lunsford not being big enough at 5'6", 260. You know,
260.
so you know what I mean? Like it's like, well, I mean,
What's
guess
wrong with
posing,
us?
but yeah. So I don't want to say like I don't think the super heavies are any and I also think that photo that you're using to promote the Virginia thing is photoshopped. I got that off the internet, but I don't remember looking like that.
Oh, so if people listening, we have a seminar coming up in Virginia Beach. Joe and Justin are coming down, and I made an ad for it, and it was a picture of Justin. Justin sent me over something, and I was like, "Oh my god, this physique is!" If anyone sees that
It's
picture,
totally
it's pretty
true.
wild. Your shoulders are like
Well, I
Marcus
found
Lewis.
that online, and I was like, I don't think because there's a cup.
You think it was
Yeah,
Photoshop?
I can't find that photo though. I don't have it saved anywhere. I know I have it somewhere, like on a Dropbox somewhere, but I don't remember looking like that.
Well, then it's
Because,
real.
but
Then it's
the reason
real.
I think that is because there's another one of me in like the same contest where I'm hauling
Yeah,
about 18 pounds of junk between my legs, and I'm also fairly confident that one's photoshopped as well.
yeah, dude. Yeah, you had a fan club that was photoshopping your legs and your posing trunks and
Yeah, yeah.
everything.
I don't know why they have to, Photoshop it. I spent all those years trying to downsize it and Photoshop it downward, but they're putting it back to the
Yeah,
true shape, I
this is.
guess. Yeah,
Oh
but
man.
yeah, but I sent you that photo and I was like, I don't have this, but I don't remember looking like this, but it's
I mean, I think that is not photoshopped. That photo, if anyone is wondering, it's on my Instagram, and I think Justin has shared it. But I think that's a real photo. But I saw that photo of you, and I was like, oh my god, if Justin had just brought this like a year ago or whatever during that COVID time and stuff, you would have smoked all of
yeah,
us.
I couldn't
So
anymore. I don't have it in me. I just don't. I got a taste for
yeah,
food
well,
and ran with it. I got a
yeah,
nasty,
and all the businesses are doing
yeah, I got a
well.
nasty problem of don't like working hard and I like eating food.
You're so full of it, dude. Guys, if anyone's listening, Justin is probably one of the hardest working people. We were talking about Jay going from opportunity to opportunity. Justin's the same way. He just doesn't stop. He won't say this, but he pushes himself to the point that he almost has to go to the hospital sometimes. He pushes himself so hard. So
Sounds like a
yeah,
drinking
don't
binge.
believe Justin. Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, would you do masters, Justin, or no?
No, I don't. Well, I got issues now. I've got like muscle damage that's showing up. Like things that were when I was younger were starting. Like I tore my tricep or something at one point, probably like 2002
Huh?
ish. But it was like real mild. And
Huh?
20 years, Jesus Christ, 20 years. Yeah, 20 years later, it's showing up my left rear delt, my left lat's got
Starting
an
to show.
issue, like a quad issue, a pec, and my waist is wider now.
So you're pulling a Ronnie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just got like those things just happen. Your waist gets wider. Because you ever see those like 60 and over bodybuilders? They're all like their waists are always wide as hell. They got turned up quads. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I personally I think you could do it, but
well,
you and Fuad should go back on
I
stage.
appreciate that. Fuad could. Yeah, Fuad is another guy. I appreciate it, like his work ethic. Yeah. See, I'm
Fuad, how old's Fuad now?
40. He's my age almost. A little. I think he's a year younger than me. 2 years younger.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I'm 43. I think he's 41 or 42. I respect Fuad though
Oh,
too. I
okay,
mean, taking
that's
that
so good.
supplement. I mean, obviously, First Attachment has better supplements, but so I really respect Fuad taking an inferior product and no, no. But what Fuad did with the supplement company, I mean,
Yeah,
that was impressive too. I respect stuff like that. Guys who continue it on after they're done competing.
yeah. Fuad's done great with his clothing. I think the what used to be a niche bodybuilder thing with the oversized shirts.
Man, he nailed that.
Because Joe's wearing a 5X, I'm wearing a 3-4X. Like, it's like we wear that because we don't want to be restricted. And that's the only thing that fits with our shoulder width and whatnot. But Fuad really capitalized on that, and he's doing
Yeah,
great
good
with
for
it.
him. Yeah, yeah. No, that was my favorite feeling as a bodybuilder was when you're finally big enough where because like when you first start training you want to wear like your sleeves are tight because you want everyone to know you work out. And then you start when you really get
Yeah,
big then you're almost like self-conscious about it. It's like God, everyone's staring at me. But when you're
yeah,
finally so big that you can't hide it, even you buy like a 5X shirt and you still look big, that's
You
Yeah,
still look
that
big.
was like when I remember the first time where it's like because my mother-in-law, whenever she used to see like a 4X shirt somewhere, she would just buy it because she knew it was always hard to find clothes, you know. And I remember when even those even
Yeah,
those are kind of snug, and no, it was like, that's pretty cool. I'm actually like I'm too big to hide now.
yeah. That's it's pretty much it. You know what is the options? You know, we have. I don't know if Joe up in Canada, do they have
Fat and tall.
um, a store called Kohl's? Kohl's, Kohls. That's America. Okay, that's where I go to. But I tried to get a shirt there the other day, and I had to go to a baptism, and I've got 800 million T-shirts, but like maybe five dress shirts. And so I went to get one, and it wouldn't fit around my neck. So like I had the biggest size they had, and it still wouldn't fit. So I had to pull the whole, unbutton it, but like pull the tie up really
Yeah,
high, so
oh
it looks
yeah.
like it's legit.
You can buy button extenders. Little, little,
Little extender
yeah.
thing. Yeah, Joe, where do you shop at? Where you go on Amazon, or what do you do?
Maybe I
Yeah,
should
yeah. I mean,
ask you.
yeah. Fulad brought the baggy shirts back. We could bring the parachute pants back.
We'll bring the parachute pants back, and yeah, we'll be like, dude, your quads will grow so much if you give them room to grow.
Yeah,
Wear these
it's
pants.
the restriction that's keeping them small. All right, guys.
Yeah,
We're about to
but
run out of record time, so we're right at 1:30. We'll wrap it up.
so do you want to say like an outro or something?
I think we're doing a really poor one right now already. Yeah, I know.
Guys, stay tuned. Next time we're gonna talk about
Yeah,
your mom
we got to
and
do. Yeah, we got to do clip like yeah clips next week's episode. Yeah, I'm gonna probably
yeah,
put like an '80s intro TV theme song. I'll play it over it like the Fall Guy, the truck bouncing through the screen. That'll be
yeah,
our outro. Yeah, no, well, I mean, thanks.
dude,
Yeah,
this was
it's
this
fun.
is
Yeah,
this is good,
that's
man.
an hour and a half. I haven't talked for an hour and a half since well, I don't know, earlier today, but that's no, that's fun. That was so everyone. That was the first episode of bodybuilding business with John, Joe, and Justin, Triple J. Thanks for tuning in.